welcome to Hanging with Hang. Today I am going to share with you 3 simple keys for you to experience more joy and happiness within yourself. So with that, let's dive straight in, right? First is that your inner happiness, your inner joy, and you notice I say the word inner because it's an inner job. It's not an outer job. Now, being humans, when things happen around us, when things happen to us, it's so easy in that moment when you're in that emotional funk, right? To blame the thing happening around you for how you feel, for your unhappiness miserably. But the reality is not, right? When we do that, we actually give the power away to the thing outside of ourselves, give power away to the people outside of ourselves to control your happiness. So the question is, do you want to be in charge of your happiness? Or do you want somebody else outside of you and the situation outside of you in charge of your happiness? Right? So with that, key number 1 is just take charge to recognize that, because it's the inner job. So guess what? You have 100% control of it. Which takes to point number 2 is your happiness, your inner joy is not based on what's happening outside of you. It's based on how you interpret, how you handle the thing happen outside of you. That will determine your human experience. So if you react with anger, then it's going to give you an angry experience. If you choose to respond to the situation with grace, then you get to experience more grace. And now, I get it, it's easy said than done. Right? It's easy said and done. And one of the things I talk a lot about grace is grace not about what you do, it's about how you do, it's about the place you come from. So this means that you got to be willing to sit with your stuff, because taking responsibility of your stuff is not an easy thing to do, which is, I talked about previous point 1. And point 2 is to actually practice interpreting that the thing happen around you is for you, and how can you shift that energy in that, so then you can choose to have joy, choose to have peace, and choose to have bliss, regardless of what happened outside of you. It's a difficult practice, but that is the whole point, right? So which is take to point number 3 is this. It's physically, humanly impossible to be joyful all the time, because being human, we're going to experience the up and the down of life, right? And by bringing grace to it, we stabilize that experience. So allow yourself to fully be joyful until you're not. And when you're not, you can choose to show up in it with grace, and then you can shift that until you are. And by doing that, your experience of having more inner joy and inner happiness is a lot higher. Then you get to be in that state of being without depending on things outside of you has to happen certain way. People outside of you have to treat you certain way in order for you to be happy. Because simply, if you can allow yourself to be you, and you can allow yourself to be in the moment, and you can allow for people around you to be them, and allow them to be in the moment, and allow nature to work its course, you can flow harmoniously. And in that, you can consistently cultivate peace and joy within yourself. Because once again, happiness and peace and joy is an inner job. It's not an outer job. And the moment you can take charge of that, that's the moment that you have more joy within yourself. With that, my friend, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for being here. If you find this helpful, please feel free to share to those heart that could use more joy and peace in their life. And if you haven't already, subscribe and set up the notifications so then we can let you know when the next video come out at the next authentic moments. Have a lot of peace and joy within yourself no matter what. For now, you've got love from my heart to yours, and from Hawaii to wherever you are in the world. Aloha.